Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, and today we have Matthew for Nora with us. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, brothers. For our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Matthew Fornaro. I'm a business law attorney located in Florida, and I help small, medium-sized businesses and startups with their legal needs.
Okay, so you have been practicing business law for over 22 years now. So what were the biggest challenge you have seen business owner make?
Sure. So, the challenge, obviously business is very important to the person. They want to get started as quickly as possible. They want to jump in. One of the biggest issues that I see is that business owners and entrepreneurs don't do the correct due diligence in planning and pre-business steps. They just kind of jump into business, and then afterwards problems arise and they have to go fix them, when if they would have taken their time, they could have proactively prevented them to begin with. Sure. So one of the main things as a business that you need to have is a written business plan before you even start your business. And your written business plan is like the instructions on what you're going to do with your business. It tells you what your business is about, who's in it, what kind of structure it is, what governing documents you have, where it's located, what you're going to do, how you're going to get money, how you're going to spend money, how you're going to hire people, how you're going to fire people, things like that. So an essential step before you even start in business, a lot of people just skip that step. Another thing too is that businesses don't meet with or get advice from attorneys or accountants to figure out what kind of business structure they need to start with, whether here in Florida, or whether it's a corporation or a limited liability company or a partnership or a sole proprietorship. They kind of just pick one and go with it.
Yeah.
And that's an issue because that can cause issues down the road. And then another thing is when they do that, they don't have the governing documents that go with the business organization. So they just kind of go online, register, do the bare minimum and call it a day. And the problem is that you need like articles of incorporation or an operating agreement or a partnership agreement to avoid issues, just kind of like the written business plan, except this is a more formal document, and people just kind of skip that step sometimes and just jump into business. And then later on, when there's an issue, or even when there's not an issue, you need to do certain things, they have problems because those documents aren't in place.
Can you share a story of a business owner who did the same mistake that you're talking about?
Sure. I mean, unfortunately, it happens all the time. I mean, I have lots of stories where people go into business, particularly with other people, and they form a corporation or they form a limited liability company, and they just go online to, whatever state they're located in, whatever online portal, to just register and do the bare minimum. And then later on, there's a dispute between the two business, I won't use the term partner because that's a legal term, but two business affiliates, or the two business people. They get into a dispute, and instead of having a document in place that says how to resolve the dispute, it's a disaster because there's no governing document. And then all of a sudden you have an issue, and now you have a major legal problem where you're going to have to get attorneys involved. You're probably going to have a lawsuit and a bunch of other things because you didn't have the governing documents to say, if there's a dispute between the two people, what happens? Or if you're going to sell your business, what happens? Or if you want to buy, into another business, what happens? Instead of that happening, it's a major legal issue and a major legal battle, and very costly and time consuming. And unfortunately, it happens to my clients all the time when they come to me after they've already, started a business instead of before, and we have to fix it. So that's a major ongoing problem. That's an example of some real world stuff that happens.
You know what? Prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
People forget it most of the time.
It is. But yeah, I mean, if they would just have those documents in place and, be preventative and proactive, then they would avoid a lot of the issues, and it would make things much smoother for their business and for them personally.
Okay, so in the last 22 years, what were the biggest challenge you faced in business while helping your clients?
Sure. So I started out my career by working for other big law firms.
Mhm.
So, it was a lot easier then for business because I would just get a paycheck or auto pay every 2 weeks and I didn't have to do anything other than just do work. So the last 10 years that I've had my law firm, I've had to obviously, if I don't work, I don't develop new business, I don't, generate business, I don't bill hours, I don't do things, I don't get paid.
Mhm.
So one of the big issues was that before I started my own law firm, I really had no business training, even though I previously represented businesses at big law firms. I didn't really know what the hell to do or anything. So the first few years of my business was a steep learning curve of learning how to run a business, how to pay expenses, how to take receivables, how to do client relations from a business standpoint, not just from a
Mhm.
letting you know what's happening with their case standpoint, advertising, marketing, things of that nature. So that's all stuff that I had to kind of learn on the fly. Luckily, I had a couple programs that I was able to attend that gave me a lot of instruction on how to do that. And they were very helpful. And, it's just been, it was, I don't want to say rough, but the first few years was a steep learning curve for me. The last few years have been much smoother because now I kind of know what I'm doing and I'm just refining things and making things better instead of creating them to begin with. So that would
Mhm.
be the issues that I've faced, particularly over the last 10 years in business for myself.
Okay, so who are your ideal clients? Like, who do you help?
Sure. So my clients primarily consist of, small and medium-sized businesses and startups from all over Florida and some nationally and some internationally as well. And they're businesses that are at all different points of their existence. Some haven't started yet, which is where I can probably do the most proactive good by getting them all their documents in place and making sure they form correctly and making sure everything starts off right. A lot of them are newly started where we have to kind of go back and do what they didn't do to begin with to make sure everything runs smoothly. And a lot are established businesses where they've done things correctly. They've done some things incorrectly. Sometimes when they've done things incorrectly, that's why they come see me because we have to, put out fires and solve problems. Sometimes they figure out that they need to be proactive and fix some things that they didn't have in place. And then there's other businesses that are winding down or they want to sell or they want to merge into another business or something like that. So I deal with businesses all throughout their life cycle, all different sizes from just individual proprietors to actual like real companies that have shareholders and things like that. So it's pretty much runs the gamut between or among all those different categories.
Okay. And can you share like what are the services you are helping them with?
Sure. So, majority of my practice consists of litigation. So, I help businesses when they're involved in lawsuits or when they need to be involved in lawsuits. For instance, you have a contract that the other side doesn't comply with. You have
Mhm.
money that the other side owes you. You have services that the other side owes you. You have a former employee who's causing you problems. You have another business who's causing you problems. So I come in and I help my clients resolve those problems through trying to figure it out before we have to file a lawsuit or something like that. And then if not, then we file a lawsuit and handle it that way. So that's the majority of what I do. The other portion of what I do is like we've been talking about since the beginning of our interview is drafting, refining, and reviewing their various documents and contracts and other things to make sure that they're correct and ongoing. Then, clients come to me with contracts that someone else gives them that they want to enter into. They're like a real estate developer and another company gives them a contract regarding like building properties or buying and selling properties. So I review those contracts and I revise them to make sure that they're fair for everyone and that they address my clients' needs.
If you could give one piece of advice to ambitious business owners about legal protection that they should prioritize right now, then what would it be?
I would say the main piece of advice is that don't be scared of an attorney or getting an attorney involved in your business, no matter what phase your business is in, no matter what status your business is in, no matter what issues you're not facing or are facing, is to have a business law attorney help you because Business is very hard. It's time consuming, it's emotional, even though it really shouldn't be emotional, but you're pouring your all into your business. You want to make sure you have the best chance at success and the best support system possible. So even though you may be, in it by yourself or whatever, you're not alone. You can have professionals who help you and guide you. For instance, for finances and money issues, you have an accountant. Always have an accountant as a business. You should never not have an accountant. They should always help you deal with financial issues, deal with your taxes, deal with business planning, things like that. And the same thing goes for attorneys as well. Attorneys are a necessity, they're not a luxury. You need to have an attorney available to help you set up your business, to help you run your business from a legal standpoint and help you deal with issues as they come along. So, my main piece of advice is get an attorney involved no matter where you are in your business, and don't be afraid, and budget for having an attorney as part of your business process and part of your budget as a business, or part of your business plan is to have the involvement of an attorney and other professionals like accountants and things like that. Sure. So, I'm all over the internet. The easiest way to connect with me is to go to my website, which is fornarolegal.com, which is my last name, FORNAROLEGAL.com. And that's got all my contact information, my phone number, my email address. It's got all my social media on it. It's got all my videos, all my blogs, all my white papers. So there's a lot of good information on there for a business, no matter where you're located, because it's a lot of general information that's good. And then if you need to get a hold of me, just email me, message me, whatever it is you need to do. I'm glad to assist. All right. Thank you. So I appreciate being here.